بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على سيد المرسلين وعلى آله وأصحابه الطاهرين ما دام ما في السماوات والأرضين رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله تعالى وبركاته. كيف حالكم؟ الحمد لله ما شاء الله. We thank and praise Allah for all of His blessings that He has bestowed upon us. وَإِن تَعُدُّوا نِعْمَةَ اللَّهِ لَا تُحْصُوهَا. You endeavor to count, put a number on the blessings of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you will not be able to do so. As a reminder to myself, first and foremost, the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wa sahbihi wa sallam has said, إِنَّمَا الْأَعْمَالُ بِالنِّيَّةِ. Actions are judged by their intention. Our intention should be only and solely for the pleasure of Allah. وَمَا أُمِرُوا إِلَّا لِيَعْبُدُوا اللَّهِ. They have not been commanded except to worship Allah sincerely. إِلَّا عِبَادَ اللَّهِ الْمُخْلَصِينَ. Except for those who are sincere. It reminds me of a statement of Shaykh Abdul Rahman Ash-Shaghuri. He said, never ever will a person who comes with a true intention be disappointed. Never ever will a person who comes with a true intention be disappointed. Sometimes we have an intention and we don't achieve our objective, and we are quick to blame circumstances, those around us perhaps. But in light of this, if our intention was, we would have reached our objective. Our objective here is to read, understand and practice upon the word of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, what we know as revelation. And the past few weeks I've been preoccupied with this thought, and I'll share this thought with you, and then we'll go directly into verse number 11 of the first chapter revealed. The thought is as follows: we are dealing with revelation. We are dealing with revelation. When we talk about the Quran, what does Allah talk about it? وَإِنَّهُ لَتَنْزِيلُ رَبِّ الْعَالَمِينَ. It is the revelation from the Lord of the worlds. نَزَلَ بِهِ الرُّوحُ الْأَمِينَ. The first chain of transmission is the Archangel Jibreel. عَلَى قَلْبِكَ. Upon your heart. So this is revelation and the chains of transmission that has brought the Quran down to you and me. Okay. But what I want to do now is, before we continue with our reading of revelation, let's put a context to revelation. So how do we come to know things? In terms of like an Islamic pedagogy, how do we learn about things? So firstly, it is through our senses, sensory perception. So for example, there's a fire over here. How do I come to know that there's a fire here? You know, this sensory perception called sight. My sight beholds that there's a fire over here, so I come to know that there's a fire. You with me? I want to ask the question, does our sensory perception have a limit? Are there limits? So I can see what's happening here. Can I see what's happening outside? Can I see what's happening in this locality? Leave alone the next locality. I can only see what's in front of me. Are you with me? So in other words, likewise, sight, smell, hearing, all of these sensory perceptions, it has a limit. Do we agree upon that? Okay. Now, at the limit of your sensory perception, what phenomenon kicks in? So what happens now is, I can't see a fire, but I see smoke, billowing, in the distance. What do I tell myself? Smoke indicates to the existence of a fire. So how did I come to know that there's a fire? My intellect. I deduce that there's a fire. I can't see the fire, but because I see the smoke indicates to a fire, or the existence of a fire. You follow me? So when my sensory perception comes to an end, my intellect kicks in. I ask the question again. If your sensory perception has a limit, is there a limit to your intellectual capacity or ability? So we agree, your senses has a limit. But at that limit, your intellect kicks in. So in other words, through your intellect, you now broaden the ambit of what you are able to know through deduction. So your senses and your intellect. The question now is, does your intellect have a limit or not? So for example, if I ask you, do you believe in life after death? So on what intellectual basis, scientific basis do you believe in that? Is there a scientific basis for it? Is there an intellectual basis for it? No. So why do you believe in it? What does Quran represent? Revelation. So if your senses has a limit, and at the limit of your senses, your intellect kicks in. At the limit of your intellect, what kicks in? To broaden the ambit of what you know. Revelation. You follow? So your senses takes you to a certain point, your intellect takes you to a further point, but it has a limit. No matter what your intellectual prowess may be. And tell me, maths is an exact science, but science, it's not exact. The goalposts are ever shifting. The more we come to know, the more we broadening in that particular regard. It's not exact, but there's a limit to it. And at that limit, what happens is we receive revelation, and this is what we have. So they give an example, and this doesn't encourage blind following. It simply says that you find a believer, right? The scientist, he goes up and down, and then he comes to the peak of the mountain, only to find the scholar there. And he asks the scholar, how did you get there? So the scientist, by scientific deduction, he went the shortcut. And what is that? Revelation. You come down to the same point. So revelation opens up vistas of learning that your senses can't take you to, and your intellect can't take you to. And very importantly, if you study at an Islamic higher level, you'll come to learn that your intellect is really subject to revelation. Because revelation is objective. Revelation is absolute. Whereas your intellect is something which is very relative, and the capacity is something which goes up and down all of the time. So now we introduce ourselves to the very first chapter which was revealed, the first 5 verses that was revealed, and now we go on to the next few verses, inshallah, bi'idhnillah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So this is about opening up vistas of learning that we didn't have access to in the form of revelation. So what does Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala say now? Again, perhaps just to give context to this particular chapter, the first chapter which was revealed, what does Allah tell us in the first verse? Iqra. Iqra means to read. And reading is a tool of learning, a tool of coming to know. And then how does this chapter end? Wasjud waqtarib. So the objective of employing this tool of learning is to come to learn about whom? To come to learn about Allah. Therefore the chapter culminates in your worshipping Allah. Okay. But now when you take this path, is there going to be opposition or not? There's going to be those who accept, and there's going to be those who reject. If somebody rejects revelation as you and I know it to be, what happens? Must we coerce him to become a believer, yes or no? La ikraha fid din. There's no coercion in terms of religion. Okay? But what do you find? There are certain disbelievers. Now to be a disbeliever is not a problem. We can harmoniously coexist with disbelievers. But what do you find? You find that there's a group of disbelievers. We refer to them in our modern terminology, in our modern nomenclature, as militant disbelievers. They're disbelievers, but they don't allow you to be a believer. So at the time of the Prophet ﷺ, put this into context. The Prophet ﷺ receives the revelation. What does he do? He abides by the revelation. And one of the most important manifestations of our submission to Allah is what? Is to pray. Isn't it? So what happens is, somebody doesn't believe in the prayer, and his name was Abu Jahl. So what does he do? He doesn't want to believe, fine, but he prevents others from believing. And we have a problem with that. We have a problem with someone denying us religious freedom. We will grant religious freedom to whoever, and we will demand our own religious freedom. You with me? But Abu Jahl didn't allow that for the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So we have spoken about that. Abadan, how did the previous verse go? Verse number 10. Abadan idha salla. That he prohibited a slave idha salla, when he was praying. Okay? So there was a certain context to this particular verse again. Miraculously, Abu Jahl used to come into the sacred mosque, Al-Masjid al-Haram, the sacred mosque. And the Prophet ﷺ used to pray there. So Abu Jahl would ask everybody, do you allow him to pray? In other words, do you allow him freedom of religion? They said, yes, we do. He says, I take an oath by Lat and Uzza, which were the idols at the time, that if I see him praying, then I'm going to fling him to the ground and I'm going to place my foot on his neck. So then the Prophet ﷺ was praying and he approached the Prophet ﷺ, and those onlookers who were observing him just basically saw him like pulling back. And they said, you said you're going to prevent him. He said that as I approached him, then there was a trench of fire between myself and himself. And that comes towards the end of the verse where in Abu Jahl threatens the Prophet ﷺ, if you're going to pray again, then I'm in a position of power and I'll have everyone in Makkah attack you. So then these verses were revealed that if he were to call his henchmen, then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent down the angels in defense of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So that gives us a bit of sort of like historical context, and basically also in terms of the theme of Surah to Iqra. What remains for us now, inshallah, is to read verse number 11. Verse number 11 also, let's translate it first. Or let me explain the concept first. We are what we refer to as believers. Everybody okay? We are believers. What makes you a believer? When you utter the declaration of faith, right? How long does it take you to utter the declaration of faith? It takes a few seconds. Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah wa ashhadu anna Muhammadan abdu wa rasuluh. So you are a believer. However, certainty in those words, it's a lifelong struggle. Certainty in those words, lifelong struggle. And what I want to focus on is certainty. If you have doubt in relation to your belief and you die with that doubt, are you considered a believer? No. In other words, you must have certainty. So in terms of the end of your journey, your spiritual journey, it must culminate in certainty. You with me? So you're not a believer in case, as a security, if it is the truth, in terms of the outcome. So does everybody agree with me? In order to be a believer, you need to have certainty. In Arabic, they refer to it as yaqeen, certainty. That's in relation to the end of the journey. But at the beginning of the journey, are you allowed to be skeptical? We agree at the end of the journey, you must have certainty. If you have any doubt, then you're not considered to be a believer. But at the beginning of the journey, does Allah allow you that latitude that you can actually start off as even skeptical or very skeptical? Can you? Yes, you can. You can. Many of our great giants, they started off very skeptical, and actually what caused them to come to the certainty was doubt. Doubt leads to certainty. If you manage doubt properly, it will lead to certainty. You're skeptic and you will be convinced at the end. So and what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying now is, in relation to the Prophet, you can either believe in him or disbelieve. The question is, even you, if you were a skeptic, what do you lose out by believing in him? You with me? So in other words, belief, if you're a disbeliever, Allah is telling you, give belief a sporting chance. What do you lose out? Let's say, for example, you're leading a wayward life, by way of example, and you want to lead a guided life according to the law of Allah and the way shown to us by the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. What do you lose out in giving it a shot? Give it that 10,000 hours. What do you lose out? You with me? So Allah is looking at Abu Jahl, this is all new to you, it's all innovative to you. Your knee-jerk response is to reject it outright. As opposed to rejecting it outright, consider it. Even if you consider it skeptically, no problem in the initial stages. But if you give it the chance that it deserves, you will develop along the lines that you are supposed to develop. Wallahu a'lam. So you understand, I'm going to say now, Allah says now, أَرَأَيْتَ إِنْ كَانَ عَلَى الْهُدَى. What if he, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, is upon the rightly guided way? And if you follow him, what do you lose out? So you can start off being skeptical. Wallahu a'lam. There's many things we do that we start off very skeptically in life, isn't it? Like, is this going to work? It's not going to work. So you try it, 50-50, ultimately to be convinced. So Allah is saying, do the same thing in terms of your religious affairs. You've tried irreligiousness for so long. Why don't we try, religiosity for a while and see if it works, right? See what outcomes it actually brings. So Allah says now, Ara'ayta. And now Ara'ayta is a bit challenging for us in terms of the level we are at in terms of Arabic, but tell me. So we said is harf istifham. So now my lesson is finished now. I've given you the context and everything. So I'm just going to read and translate now and break down the Arabic wording so that you can access the meaning. Okay? So Ara'ayta, is everybody with me? Is a question mark. Right? And for you and I who are students of the Arabic language, if you wanted to take and write it down and make your own sentence, it helps much in terms of understanding the meaning. Remember, in our class we try to avoid the translation, right? We go to the meaning. So is a question mark. Ra'ayta is a form of the verb that you haven't come across yet. It's like fa'alta. You one male. Ara'ayta. Ru'ya means to see. Do you see? In other words, idiomatically, in the Arabic language, it means tell me. That's what you have to know for now. Ara'ayta. For example, I would ask you, Ara'ayta kusistas yawm al-ahad. What do you think about kusistas on a Sunday? For example. You follow me? You with me? Do you have an opinion? Right? So, if you don't eat the kusista, are you cheating on the diet or are you cheating on the kusista? By way of example. Are you with me? So, I want to know what you think about a kusista. The kusista tradition. So, what do I say? Ara'ayta. You follow me? So now Allah on a more serious note is saying, look, the Prophet ﷺ, from Allah's perspective, is bringing the truth. Allah is telling you now, look man, Ara'ayta, tell me. Even if you were skeptical, but you embraced the truth and you gave it a chance, what do you lose? You follow me? Ara'ayta, in. The word in is an instrument again in the Arabic language. It is referred to as a shart, condition. So in means if. But the Arabic language is very unique and somewhat like the English language as well. In is an instrument of condition, but there's a great degree of probability in it. You with me? In English, if I say, if you visit me, I'll honor you. You got that understanding? If you visit me, I'll honor you. Alternatively, I say to you, when you visit me, I'll honor you. Tell me, on a scale of 1 to 10, the probability of if you visit me, I'll honor you, compared to the probability of when you visit me, I'll honor you. In which one is the probability greater? The latter, when. Because I'm just saying it's a matter of time. If I see you, I'll hand it over to you. When I see you, I'll hand it over to you. You with me? So in as a conditional clause is like saying when. So if you follow through, the probability of this actually happening is great. So Allah says, if he is upon guidance, the in word tells you what the probability of him being on guidance is what? High or low? High. In kana. Have you come across the word kana before? Kana. Kana means, literally it means was in the past tense. In kana, if he is. That's how you translate it. I just want to clear something. We use Quran as a format to learn Arabic, right? But what happens is we have a parallel study of grammar and morphology. But what happens is that your grammar and morphology is not always going to be on par with the grammar and morphology that Allah employs in every verse. You with me? So there's certain instances where you're just going to have to block out something. You may not understand, the grammar and the morphology of it, but you basically suffice yourself with the translation at this time. Like kana, for example. In kana ara'ayta, tell me, in if kana, he is, ala. What does ala mean? Ala would be one of those prepositions that you're familiar with. Ala means what? Upon. Ala means upon. Alal huda. Huda. The word huda, the root letters are ha, dal, and ya. Huda means guidance. So I think in terms of what you know so far, al-huda, is it a verb, a noun, or preposition? It's a noun. What's the indication that it's a noun? Al at the beginning, al-huda. And you have this, the hooks, this memory hooks in your mind. So huda is a name that we give also. Huda, guidance. The feminine form of guidance. Al-huda. So huda, right? So tell me, in kana ala al-huda, if he is on guidance. So what is meant, if he is on guidance and you follow the guidance, what do you lose out? Right? Again, that idea. Oh. Oh, what does oh mean? Oh. Oh wala. Aina. Oh means or. Right? So oh means or. Amara. Now here we come into known territory, isn't it? That form, and listen to me carefully, the form of that word looks familiar, doesn't it? What does it look like? Fa'ala. Fa'ala. Amara. 3 words, 3 letters. You look it up in the dictionary, you'll find the meaning. Amara means to command. Oh, amara, he commands you with what? Be. What does be mean? Be means in. No, that's fi. Be means ba. Have you come across ba as a preposition yet? Ba, like Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. What did we say? In the name of Allah, they were translating it, but it actually means I begin with the name of Allah. If you wanted to, but we say in the name of Allah. So be means with. Oh, he commands. What does he command with? Bittaqwa. He commands with taqwa. Okay. Now, in the few minutes that I have left, I just want to focus on the word taqwa. What does it mean? Oh, he commands with taqwa. How do we translate the word taqwa? You have an idea, you have no idea. Like, for example, if you go to the Friday sermon, every Friday you're going to hear the word taqwa a number of times repeating itself. If not in the Arabic sermon, it's going to be in the English, taqwa. Taqwa is a very important concept for us. But for now, for this week at least, allow me to break down the word and give you a literal meaning of the word taqwa. And the reason why we take us some time to talk about taqwa, he commands with taqwa. Because that's probably, if you want to sum up the purpose of prophethood, it's basically one word, taqwa. What is taqwa? The root letters are, and you can write this down, waw, qaf, and ya. Does everybody have that? Waw, qaf, and ya. Okay? So, waqa. Now, there's one thing that you will notice about this particular word. In the Arabic language, how many letters in the alphabet? 28. There are 28 letters in the Arabic language, right? All of them, except for 3, are considered to be proper letters. You with me? Of the 28, bar 3, they are considered to be proper letters. Is everybody with me? So I ask you, for example, ba, is it the proper letter? Ta, proper letter. Tha, proper letter. Jim, ha, all proper letters. So what are the three which are considered to be, for lack of a better term, like improper letters? Wow, alif and ya. Have you come across this before? Wow, alif, ya. If you put it together, why? So that what terminology did you come to? I don't know if I discussed this with you before. No? Yes? Okay. So what are those letters called? Wow, alif, ya. They're called weak letters. When do you find yourself weak? In the last period at Mizan, besides that. When do you become weak? When you are healthy or sick? Sick. So in Arabic, if you want a literal translation, it's called sick letters. You know, sick letters. So they say it's called sick letters because if you were to visit an Arab and he's on his sick bed, and you ask him, how are you? What does he say? Wow, alif, ya. You got that? It's called sick letters. Because when a sick person, when he moans like that in Arabic, you see, you must learn Arabic to an extent that you even moan in Arabic. So how do you moan in Arabic? Wah. And there's benefit in that also because why are you moaning like that? Because those are the sick letters. Wow, alif, ya. You with me? Now those letters, it presents the challenge. Because you find with like fa'ala, kataba, daraba, nasara, jalasa. But the moment you add one of those weak letters into any equation, it's like, you with me? But let me tell you, there's no difference except that the weak letters somewhat changes the format. So how many weak letters do you have there in wow, kaf, and ya? 2. Okay? What I'm saying to you now is I don't want you to be scared off of the weak letters, but rather to embrace the weak letters. When you see wow, alif and ya, don't be scared. Right? It's the very same like fa'ala. It's just, it sounds and it's a bit different. So recognize the weak letters first. Everybody with me? So waqa is waqaya, like fa'ala. You with me? So now the word taqwa comes from the root letters waw, qaf, ya, waqaya. Okay. What does waqa mean? Waqa literally means to shield, to protect. So taqwa literally means to protect. Oh, amara bit-taqwa. Oh, he commands, give him a chance. It may be that he commands you with what? Bit-taqwa. Taqwa means protection. Taqwa means security. Taqwa means a form of insurance, and the greatest type of insurance. What type of insurance? What type of security? That which will protect you in this world as well as in the year after. So waqa means protection, taqwa means protection. Protection from what? From the punishment of Allah in the year after and in this world. You with me? And how do you do that? What is the shield made up of? It's made up of following through on the commandments of Allah and staying away from His prohibitions. And therefore we call it God consciousness. There you go. Is everybody with me? You understand the concept? And I'm saying it in a few words, right? I'm trying to be as lucid as possible, but that meaning is a very profound meaning. Your entire subsistence and existence on the face of the earth should be governed by taqwa. What is taqwa? It comes from the root letters waqa, which means to protect. Taqwa is when you follow through on the commands of Allah and you stay away from His prohibition. That becomes the shield by means of which you protect yourself from a worldly and otherworldly punishment. You with me? So the Prophet ﷺ, he commands with what? With that protection. In other words, he's wanting to sell you the ultimate insurance policy. And the name of